Hello and welcome back to SparkleDart. I think this is going to be the last one I do for today. Not that you'll know, because it'll be a very seamless cutoff after I edit this episode and upload it and put it on my channel, and then you'll watch it and be like, oh, this is another good episode of SparkleDart. I'm going to watch that one, and then be like, yeah, okay, that was fine. That was fantastic. I'm glad I watched the whole thing. It made a lot of sense to me, and I'm glad that I can have such an important man in my life, and I can come home from work every day, and I know he'll be there waiting for me to talk about all the things that I talked about, because, he's just such a nice guy. He knows a lot about the world, and I'm so ignorant to everything that I look to people on the internet to be my form of education, entertainment, whatever else it requires to be on the internet. I don't even know exactly, because I'm just some man, exactly like I said before. So anyways, I've been wondering a lot about hanging and wondering if that form of capital punishment is okay these days. I think maybe it's a little bit harsh, but some places in the world still do hanging. Now, if you're familiar with like the Salem witch trials, they had witches hanging all the time. Like, it was the cool thing to do, like hanging out, being friends, watching Saved by the Bell all the time. Kelly Kapowski, Screech, all that stuff. It was a real good time, and I think that just hanging out is fine. But when you actually start to actually hang people for doing heinous crimes, then it's like, okay, well, where do we draw the line between okay and not okay? I don't know, because it's never been established in a way that makes sense to me, since I'm such a I'm so closed off from the world, and I don't know anything about the capital punishment system. It's like, what do I even do now? And you'll be like, well, SparkleDart, can you tell me? And I'll tell you this exactly. We should get rid of hanging because it's cruel and unusual. I think they should just inject people with like insulin or whatever it is, that stuff that they inject people with when they give them the lethal injections. It's like, well, now you're dead. Would you rather die off of I don't know, what are they like? They're probably in jail for drugs, so what should we kill them with? Cocaine or something not so psychoactive, I guess, would be a preference. Come on, Goom. I know you don't want to hurt me, your brother SparkleDart, like this. By the way, I think I'm a lot better at this game than I am. So, if you see me doing something like this a lot, you'll just have to understand that I'm trying to be cool and then failing. Right, there we go. Okay, so you can do it. I was just failing a bunch. Anyways, you want to talk... Oh, my God. Okay, so you want to talk about the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? That's a good show. I like that show. They had a recent season that I was watching, the newest season, where they had an episode that they ended the season called, a 2-part episode called The Gang Goes to Hell. And I was watching that. I'm like, this is pretty good. Are they actually going to kill off the characters? I don't know. I guess we'll find out, because it's hard to tell what will happen at the end of a 2-part episode when only the first part has gone up. So I watched the first part, and then they're like, okay, Mac is gay, and Charlie's replacing Frank's glasses with works glasses so that he'll need him always, and he'll be like his best friend. And then Charlie's like, I'm Charlie Kelly, and I was in Pacific Rim, and I was also in that other show that you like. No, I wasn't. I'm lying. I don't know. All those guys are very good at what they do, and I think it's nice that a lot of them only kind of stick to their own thing, although I believe Caitlin Olsen probably wants to move on, because her character, Dee, likes to be an actress, but she's not like that good of an actress, so it's like, okay, Dee, you're gonna have to shut the hell up, you giant bird. And then she's like, well, that's rude, and then she calls Matt gay and Charlie a retard and Frank an old perv, and Dennis like, hey, you're my brother, I can't be rude to you because that's forbidden in our religion, and I would never be so rude to a member of my family. .com, check it out. Stand tall with 4 pillows. I don't think so. I will not be doing that. So, you learn something new every day, don't you? So anyways, Mick Jagger has seen a recent surge of popularity amongst people who like to go clubbing, and I think I might know why that is. I think it's because the word Jagger is like the only word anyone can think of that rhymes with swagger. So whenever like somebody like Nicki Minaj wants to write a song, they have to use the word swagger, of course, but they have nothing else to rhyme it with, so they just rhyme it with Mick Jagger. And it's like, that makes sense, and I can see why you did that, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think you should give old Mick a little bit of credit, at least for credit is due, because he's a very old and a very accomplished musician, and to constantly bring him back into the spotlight just because his name rhymes with something is absolutely ridiculous. It's just not something I would recommend doing, because it's like, okay, well, would you really want somebody doing that to you? And I know the answer is no, because you like to live a life of seclusion, and I respect that, because I get that. I am exactly the same way. I'm very secluded. I live on a private drive in a gated community, and nobody's allowed near my house except for my dad and my grandpa, because both my mom and my grandma are dead, so they can't come up to my house. They are buried in their own separate lots, each one waiting for the other spouse to die so that they can be buried together and live in eternal peace. God rest their bodies to the earth and committed them to the earth so that they can feed the worms and the aphids and whatever else lives underground. I don't know anymore because I haven't been underground in a while. Because I'm not a cool boy, I'm not a hipster, I'm not a scene star, or whatever the term is now, I don't exactly know. Alright, that's what I was hoping to do. Okay. It's funny how, when you watch my show, you learn that I know a lot more about video games than you'd think I do, considering I don't talk about them and I call them shit. And yes, I think video games are shit. I think they're a very bad form of entertainment. I think you should just read books or watch movies or even just go to a baseball game with your dad, because he likes baseball, and I know he might not be the most interesting person to talk to because he works in construction and he doesn't like to converse much about his feelings. He thinks that... I don't know what you're doing there, pal. You can just stop whenever you want to. I would be okay with that. Buddy, listen. Buddy, chill out. It's gonna be alright. There we go. That's fine. And, he still likes the Red Sox. And I know you have a Red Sox poster in your bedroom, so you should go and hang out with your dad next time the Sox come and play in town against the Cubs or the White Sox or whatever team it is that you live near, because there's not very many baseball teams these days, and you have to pick one. You can't have two. You can't have two favorite baseball teams anymore. It's not allowed by the MLB, Major League Baseball Committee. They've got an MLB committee, and they're like, well, you can't do this because we have to drive up sales. You can't support two teams. You have to buy all of your merchandise for our one team, because they make different types of merchandise for different teams. For whatever reason, they do that. Like, they'll make jerseys for the White Sox, but they'll make baseball gloves for the Red Sox, but they won't make those pieces of... Wait, why did I come up here? Oh, alright. It's time to go... Oh, never mind. Surfing, I guess, was what I was going to say, but then I got cut off so rudely. I was so rudely interrupted, and it made a huge difference in my life, and now I'm sad. And I can be sad. I'm allowed to be sad. Everybody can be sad. Have you ever seen that episode of Futurama where the dog dies? It's like, that's sad because I used to have a dog, and then he died. It's like, okay, I get it now. It makes sense to me. His dog died, and now he's sad. And then my dog, Skip, he died too, and it was like, alright, Skip, well, you want to come back to life? And he'll be like, nope, I'm dead. Bark, bark, woof, woof. And then you'll have to just live with that, I guess, because, that's how life is. Life is sad. If you don't think life is sad, then you should read a book called Marley and Me. Or maybe that was a movie. I don't remember if that was a book first or a movie first. Have they ever, made a book out of a movie? Yes, the answer is yes. They did that with Star Wars, I believe. Because Star Wars was originally conceptualized as a big box office movie release, whereby they're like, alright, Mr. George Lucas, we're going to make, several movies based off of your idea here, and if the first one doesn't succeed, then the rest, it'll just not make... Oh, that was my fault, I apologize. It'll just not make sense to anybody else because your book is a flop, and it's like, well, what do we do now? I don't even know. And then you'll be like, trust me, fellas, I got this. I'll write 2 more movies, and if we don't wind up making bank on the first one, then we'll just have to make them anyway, because otherwise the plot will be resolved, and if the plot's not resolved, then people won't even get the first movie. Maybe, I don't remember because I wasn't born at the time, I guess. But if Star Wars flopped back when it came out, the first one, which was originally called Blue Harvest as a like working title, if the first one didn't work for whatever reason, then it wouldn't make sense. And maybe it did bad in theaters because nobody understood what the point of it was. It's like, well, the movie just ended and there's still like more questions to be asked. So what winds up happening is George Lucas and Steven Spielberg or whatever is like, actually I don't think Spielberg was involved in the making of Star Wars. He made E.T. though, or Indiana Jones or something, I don't remember exactly. I'm not a movie fucking nerd like you are. Piece of shit. Anyways, I didn't mean to be so rude, but it was really funny when I said it, so I said it anyway. Oh my god. Spielberg's like, okay, we have to make more of these movies because the first one didn't make sense and maybe more people will like it if they see the other ones and they're like, okay, well that was a pretty good movie, but I didn't see the first one, so now I'll have to see the first one, and then they go and check it out at Redbox or Family Video or whatever it is that they like to do, Blockbuster. Maybe that's not around where you live anymore, but there's still a Blockbuster where I live, and I still go there frequently because they have a lot of good options for movies. You know, they've got more options than Family Video or Redbox does because they have things that were never in theaters, like a movie called Rest Stop, which I think was about a rogue trucker who liked to run people off the road and then like kill them at rest stops or whatever. And they made a sequel to it too, and it didn't really make sense. And they also had a movie about a girl who had teeth inside of her vagina, like a vampire or something. And I think the movie was actually just called Teeth. And I don't know if she was actually a vampire or not, but it seems to me like she might have been, because I can't imagine why anybody would have teeth inside of their vagina without any sort of like reason for it. Maybe it's just like an old mutation, or it's like vampirism or something else. I don't know exactly, because when I watched the movie, I was fairly inebriated at the time, and I was mostly just concerned with playing foosball, because my cousin used to have a foosball table where one of the teams had one of their pegs had like 2 missing guys on it, and another peg had 1 missing guy on it. And if anybody had to play that team, they would have to like play at a disadvantage of like 3 players. And it's like, this is pretty friggin' awesome if you ask me, because now it's like whoever gets that team first, which was usually decided with a rock, paper, scissors contest, which I always won because I'm very good at predicting what other people will do based off of their environment, what they've eaten for supper, and how many churros they've had in the past week. It's very easy for me to determine that sort of thing and be like, all right, well, I've understood this now and it makes more sense to me. So then they let me play the orange team, which was the one that had all of its guys, and they have to play the blue team, which is the one that didn't have all of its guys. It's like, all right, well, you're probably going to win, just so you know. And, you know, that you might think so, but the thing is, foosball isn't always about, it's not always about skill. It's mostly just about positioning, which you might think to yourself, well, that's part of skill, isn't it? I would wager to say that that is the biggest part of skill that there is, and I might say that maybe you're right in some degree, but maybe you're not absolutely right, and you have to understand that there are certain ways to win other than doing it the correct way. And I'm not talking about cheating, because cheating, although a very viable tactic, is not something that I endorse. I think cheating is wrong on many levels, and I think if you're going to cheat, you should only cheat on SAT tests so you can get into good colleges. And that's not just me. The president also backs me up on that one. Obama, he said something about how you should cheat on SATs if you really want to get into like a good college, like Brown or... Where am I? Oh, I'm dying. I understand now. Well, let me just fix this problem real quick. Alright, there we go. That was very concerning. I was very concerned when that happened. So, go to Princeton, go to Yale, all those Ivy League colleges. Go to Dartmouth, I don't care, Cornell, whatever one you want to go to. It's not really my decision, it's your decision. And you have to consult your family about that, because they're the ones who are more likely to know about that sort of thing and be able to help you out in your future career, your future endeavors as a senator or a lawyer or whatever it is you want to do. Maybe you just want to get into architecture or whatever, but they've got good programs for that, like that at that college that I was talking about not too long ago. So you should probably consider giving it a go. You know, it's just, Why limit yourself to what you think you can do? Why not actually go for it, you know? And I don't think that's super unreasonable for me to say something like that. I think you should just be able to appease yourself and not have to, live by anyone else's standards. Obviously, you don't have to, and I'm not saying you do, but if you live with your parents, they probably have a pretty big influence over your life. Not to say anything wrong about living with your parents. Some people in Europe do that until they're like 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and their parents like are literally dead now. So it's like, mother, father, what do you even want me to do with my life because I'm dead and I'm a corpse? Anyways, thank you for watching SparkleDart. I've had a lot of fun today, and I know you have too, because we were talking about Mick Jagger or whatever. I don't remember exactly, but thank you for watching. Goodbye, mwah.